ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थसुभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्म हृदय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। स्वस्ति अस्तु विश्वस्य खलः प्रसीदतां ध्यायन्तु भूतानि शिवं मिथो धिया। मनश्च भद्रं भजता दधोक्षजे आवेश्यतां नो मतिरप्यहेतुकी। We are reading from Sri Priti Sandarbha, continuation of Anucheda number 1, page 25. So Sri Jiva Goswami said that the purpose of human life is Sukh Prapti, Dukh Nivritti, to attain happiness and be free from suffering. And eternally means we should not become miserable any time and we should always be happy. So for that he said that there are primarily two types of happiness, material and spiritual. So material is temporary and it is mixed with suffering. So that cannot be the prayojana, the purpose of human life. Therefore the only purpose is to attain the spiritual or eternal happiness. And that he said is non-different from Priti or love for God. And that love for God is non-different from having the sakshatkar of Him Tattva. So this is what we have studied. We did the analysis from Taittiriya Upanishad of the different types of happiness. And ultimately the happiness of absolute reality, which is beyond human expression. And it is only by attaining this that one becomes supremely happy. This is what was described in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Tachshraddha dhana muniyo gyan vairagya yuktaya pashyanti atmani chatmana bhaktya sruti grihitaya and kshidyante hridaya granthi vidyante sarvashinshaya kshiyante chasya karmani drashtva atmanishvare. So then one becomes absolutely free from all doubts or confusion, becomes situated and happy. So this is what also Taittiriya Upanishad said, Anandam Brahmano Vidwan Nabhibheti Kutaschana. That one who has realized Brahman or the Absolute, then there is no fear, because fear comes by forgetting him. So he also said that the root cause of our problem is ignorance of the Absolute. And this ignorance has no beginning. And because of that, Maya is able to influence us. So the only solution is to take shelter of Bhagavan. This was also said in Paramatma Sandarbha and Bhakti Sandarbha. So now he continues explaining this. Any question on the previous class? Yes, Sandeep ji.
So my question was that if Paramatma is the Adhishtan of everything and everyone, then as you said that there could be partial knowledge by having only Sakshatkar of your own self, other than not having the Sakshatkar of Paramatma. Can that actually be possible theoretically also? Because what is the Adhishtan without the Adhishtan, then how you can have?
When I did not say that you can have it. When did I say that you can have?
No, yesterday you were saying that it could be partial knowledge in the sense...
I said it will be partial if it is like that, but it is not possible.
That is what I was thinking, how it is not possible actually.
At most you can only know that you are not this body. Without realization of the tattva, you can come to that understanding that you are not body. Okay, Yadu Gopal.
Pranam Swabhaji, I'm back to, I believe, 2 classes ago, we are talking about Sukha and Dukkha, and you asked, I believe, Ormanu or Sanjit Prabhu, the definition, and they said that's Pratikula Vedanyam and Anukula Vedanyam. I would like to ask how it's processed, how is this Anukula created, and if it's objective just by the senses, by the mind, or by a relation of both. There's some subject factor over the objective one.
So what is your own experience? Because you are having experience of Sukha and Dukkha every day.
Yeah. My personal experience that there's an objective factor that's, let us say, the objective senses, and the mind will get some kind of interpretation of that and can subjugate it.
So what do you mean by objective?
For example, I like chocolate. Most people like chocolate.
So when you say you like chocolate, means you means who?
Yeah, the mind, of course.
So now what is objective then?
Yeah, it all will come to the mind. Yeah.
Krishna Saran Baba.
I also was reflecting yesterday on the same general sphere of discussion. So if I may, when Jiva Goswami says that Sukha Prapti is this fundamental prayojana, then I'm wondering how this relates in the life of a sadhaka or a siddha who becomes free from anya vilash. Will that fundamental prayoja of Sukha Prapti remain in gear as a subset, or in other words, as a foundation to that soul desire for bhakti? Or is this a separate thing that can be eclipsed by that?
No, it is not like that, because he is just beginning, but he will keep on explaining it. But in short, Sukh Prapti is the goal, and everybody accepts that. But in our conditioned state, we have one idea of Sukha, which is sense pleasure, happiness coming from our senses. But he already said that this Sukha is not Atyantika, it is temporary, and the real Sukha is having Sakshatkar of Bhagwan. And then he said that is Priti. So he has already equated this Sukh Prapti to Priti Prapti. That's what he said earlier somewhere. So it is not that it becomes something else or it remains in the background or anything like that. But it is Priti itself, which is Sukha. He said in the very beginning, Purush Prayojanam Tavat Sukh Prapti Dukh Nivrittisya. And then he says, Sri Bhagavat Pritau Sukhatvam Dukh Nivartkatvam Chatyamtikam. So he says in Bhagavat Priti, the Sukha and Dukha, they are Atyantik, Dukh Nivritti. That happiness is eternal and redressal of suffering is also eternal. So that means now when he says Purush Prayojana is Sukh Prapti Dukh Nivritti, now it becomes Priti, because he replaces that. So that means now Prayojana becomes Bhagavad Priti. And then he explains Priti, of course he will explain that, but then he talks first what is, as he says, Etaduktam Bhavati, where he talks about Tatriya, and then he says this Priti, same as Bhagavad Sakshatkar, Saiva Param Purushartha. On page 15 it says, Param Tat Sakshatkar Lakshanam Tas Jnanam Eva Paramananda Prapti Saiva Param Purushartha. So Sakshatkar of Bhagavan, Priti, Ananda, Purushartha, they are all same now.
So, if I may, on this topic, in the Nyaya Bodhini Tika on the Tarka Sangraha, when this state...
Tarka Sangraha?
The commentary on the Tarka Sangraha called the Nyaya Bodhini.
Yes.
Okay, in that commentary, when the statement Anukulata Vedanyam or Anukul Vedanyam is glossed, then he gives this gloss, Itara Icha Anadhin Icha Vishayatva. Itara Icha Anadhin Icha Vishayatvam Nishkarsha.
Yeah.
Which I understand to mean that Sukha is the object that is desired, that desire being non-dependent on any other desire. In other words, the fundamental object of desire that all other objects of desire are a sadhana for.
Yes.
So if Sukh is taken as the principal object of desire and everything else is taken to be Sukha sadhana, then if a Nyayika looks at this statement of Jiva Goswami, where he's saying the Sukha Prapti is the Prayojana and Bhagavad Priti, because that achieves Sukha that is Adhyamtika, Bhagavad Priti is the paramount Sukha sadhana, and therefore is the Prayojana.
No, it's not a Sukha sadhana, that is the mistake you're making.
Well, I'm saying, but the Nyayika would probably look at it like that. So I'm asking, what is the distinction in Jiva Goswami's view from the Nyayika view?
No, because he's saying that Itar Ichha Anadhin Ichha means that Anukul Vedanyam, for which you have, the Sukha he says is that for which you have, basically this is the ultimate wish or desire. And Jiva Goswami is only equating that this Sukha, and Nyayika will agree, because Nyaya is, as I have discussed in Nyaya class, that they are not analyzing Vedas or Shastra. It's based on their sutras. So they are talking about Sukha, Dukha as we experience. But any Nyayika, if he is given, okay, Taittiriya Upanishad is giving this analysis, there are different types of Sukha. And then ultimate Sukha is this. And then Jiva Goswami says that this is what Priti is. So he is equating Sukha to Priti, so I don't think that an Nayayika will have any problem with that.
Exactly. So, I mean, it seems that this definition of the Nayayika view of Sukha would hold in Jiva Goswami's analysis, that fundamentally people can't cognitively function without the pursuit of Sukha.
Yeah, that's why he quoted another statement from Tatriya Upanishad. He says, Kohi eva pranyat yadi esha akasho ananda na syat. Because it is also our experience, if there is no happiness in our life, then we want to commit suicide, we want to die, we don't want to live. And this is what Taittiriya Upanishad is saying, that if Ananda is not there, then who wants to live? So therefore Ananda is the Purushartha.
So applying this, could it be said that to have the desire solely for bhakti and to have no anya visaj is essentially to have the most efficient or the most refined understanding of how to cognitively function with a mind that cannot but desire sukha?
Then this is why Jiva Goswami is saying that this is the Priti is the Priyojana. And he says Bhakti is the process for that. Because everybody wants it and they are not being successful, so he is showing the way.
So in that sense, could we also derive from this dynamic that the entire edifice of the path of bhakti is built upon this psychological analysis of the mind, that the mind can't function without the pursuit of sukha, and therefore there's no point in trying to negate it, but only do it in the most efficient and beneficial way.
Now you got the basic principle of Vedic psychology. This is what I've been telling. And then people say, no, we don't need psychology. This is the whole psychology. Because no one can deny this. Everybody is actually looking for Priti. Everybody. Without Priti, there is nothing in life. And that shows the distinction between Bhakti and Gyan Marg. Because in Gyan Marg, everything is just denial, neti neti. So, Vairagya Viveka, Shat Sampatti. So, all based on Vairagya only. But Vairagya cannot be complete. Bhakti can be complete. You can 100% take shelter of Bhagavan. You can have Sharanagati, 100%. But you cannot have 100% Vairagya. You cannot give up everything. Yeah, you'll need a place to sit somewhere, eat, some cloth, something you will need. So therefore you have to keep track of that. Unless you become complete avdhuta. But that's only some avatara like Dattatreya. Not common people. So this is most practical because it matches. You see, this is the beauty of bhakti, that it actually is not based on denial. All other paths are denial, and denial basically means restricting. Because you cannot deny completely. Complete denial is not possible. That's why Krishna says, Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jato tishtatya karmakrit. And same vairagyas. So that becomes falgo vairagya. So anashaktasya vishayan yatharam upinjata. Krishna sambandha nirbandhe yuktam vairagyam uchate. So that is the yukta vairagya. That is possible. And vairagya basically means that swayam arochakta. That not having taste for this. So rasavarjam rasapyasya param drishtva nivartate. That is the actual vairagya. But you go on practicing, then still, because as long as you have body, there will be need for that. Sarir yatra pina te prasiddhet karmana. That's why it says sa sannyasi cha yogi, sa yogi cha na niragni na cha akriya. That's what he says. He says he is the sannyasi, he is a yogi. So this is the better understanding. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says this, and here Bhagavatam is on that. So this is practical, and it is auspicious. It is beneficial for everybody, because that kind of vairagya you do, whom does it benefit? It's very selfish. Here God has created this creation, so you protect everybody with this path of bhakti. On path of Jnana Marg, it's an abnegation, complete denial. When you are not interested, why would you keep a cow? So here you can protect cows, you can have plants, you can have garden, you do worship, you need flowers. They don't. Why should they do it? Why should they build ashram? There is no need. If you follow the real path of Jnana, then it is not even supportive to the creation. But bhakti is, because everything is God's creation and everything is meant for His service. That's why Yudhishthira Maharaj did the yajna, that I want to worship you with your vibhutis. That was his wish. So all these are vibhutis of Krishna, and they can be used in his seva. And this way everything is flourishing, nourishing, pleasing, and society is happy. So this solves all problems. All the problems are because there is not Priti. Without Priti there are only problems. And with Priti there is no problem. Even if we do not have sufficient things for our living, if we have Priti, we still can share and be happy. When Priti is not there, there is no limit how much I want to have. And I want to have from others also. There is no limit of it. You go on and on and on. So Priti solves problems, all types of problems. Family problems, social problems, financial problems, national problems, economic problems. And without Priti, all the problems, if you analyze, they are because there is no Priti. Now there is so many problems in the family relations. And society is based on the family. But now there is no family. So society is all confused state. And you cannot trust anybody. So therefore there has to be CCTV camera everywhere. There's so much fear, If you travel, then you know everywhere how much checking. So why is it? Because no Priti. If Priti was there, this was not needed. So that's why Braj, where Krishna lived, there was no police, no court. It's not needed. Everything runs with love. Krishna himself is stealing. Because nobody else steals. Otherwise the dictionary will lose the word stealing, So to keep it alive, he started stealing. Otherwise all these verbs, they will disappear, from the dictionary. So he kept it alive by his leela. Thief. Makhan Chora. Okay. Tanmaji.
Babaji, two things. I was going to say something, but then there's this question, another question came. I don't know question, but I guess I disagree with something that was said by Krishna Sharan Babaji. To some extent, maybe I misunderstood. So, I've heard these slogans, chant and be happy. So that means that you chant. Why? So that you will be happy. And then, I heard Bhakti-Rasamrita Sindhu, and the idea there was you chant to make Krishna happy, not yourself. So this idea that we should do bhakti because that's where we'll get happiness, I think is sort of a subtle selfishness ultimately.
Yeah, but that's why he has immediately equated this happiness with Priti, and that also Bhagavat Priti. Now he is not distinguishing between happiness and Priti, because there is no happiness without Priti, that's what I'm saying. And then he will define Priti, what is Priti.
I guess my point is the impetus for bhakti, the desire for personal happiness? Why should one do uttam bhakti? Is it
That's what I'm saying, that personal happiness will not come without Priti. So if you want personal happiness, you have to do bhakti. These are not two separate things. That's what Jiva Goswami will say, and that's what I'm already saying it. You want personal happiness, that personal, you are not an individual independent of Bhagavan. Try to understand. Whole Paramatma Sandarbha was for this. So you cannot be personally happy without that. It's like you're trying to have light in your room, but you don't care for the source of light, the powerhouse. I don't want to have any connection with the powerhouse, but I want room in my light and light in my room. That's not going to happen. So you want light in your room and everybody wants light in their room, then the only way is to connect to the powerhouse. It is inevitable. There's no other way.
Certainly, I agree that, of course, that if you do bhakti and you become a siddha, the concomitant effect will be happiness. It's inevitable, like you said, because Bhagavan is Rasa himself. Right? But the definition of uttam bhakti, for example, anyabhlashita shunyam, the idea is service for Bhagavan. That's the essence.
Without service,
happiness would come as a concomitant effect, no?
That's why I'm saying that if you want happiness, you have to do service. Without service, there is no happiness. Even materially. You try to be the boss in your house, nobody will like you. And you try to do service to everybody will be happy. Your wife will be happy if you go to the kitchen and wash the pots. See, you'll see a smile on her face. She'll think, what happened to my husband? So then you have to say, well, I heard the Priti class, So I can get little credit. So service is what makes everybody happy. And somehow or sometime or the other, we all have experience of it. Like if you go to temple or church or anywhere, you do some service, you feel happy by doing that. Same in the house. And if you like somebody, then doing service becomes natural. Because now if you do it actually without any motivation, that you are doing it because people praise me, or I'm not talking about that. When you actually just do it for the sake of doing it, you'll feel so, this is a reward in itself. Therefore, Priti is a reward in itself. You don't need anything else. This desire that I want, this will not come. Because it is so fulfilling. And this is something which we have to experience in our life. This is not something that you will get it after death, Swarga Kamo Yajet. Then you will have all this description, that nice place, Apsaras, Nandan Kanan, all that. That is a dream. This you will experience here, right here. Pratakshavgamam dharmyam, shushukam kartum avyayam. And that's what we should try to experience. So it is not some kind of hope or just some false promise, but it is a reality. So then you don't have to say, well, chant and be happy and this and that. No, just do seva from the heart. And see, happiness will be running behind you. You'll just feel happy. Because this is what he's saying, that happiness and Priti are not two separate things. You can say they are just two separate names of the same thing. But in the material world, we don't know this. We think that if I have to get happiness, I have to be the boss, people have to work for me, I have to have money, I have to do this, then I will be happy. This is a misunderstanding. And then nobody becomes happy. So happiness is available. But we have to first understand, we have to change this concept. But it's very difficult because we are trained so much from our childhood to be free, independent, not listen to anybody. And as you grow up, then your ego grows up, then why shall I do it now? So this was the Vedic culture. From the very beginning you were told to serve. So when you come to spiritual life, it is not a problem. Now there is complaint that Sudras, but Sudras are the most conducive to be a devotee because their whole job is to do service. So they are the best. That's why devotees are given the title Dasa. In Varnashram system, the title Dasa is for the Sudra. Brahmana is Sharma, Kshatriya is Varma, Vaishya is Gupta, and Shudra is Dasa. So it is considered as the lowest, but actually it is the highest. Ko mudho dastam prapya prabhavam padam ichchati. Hanuman says, who is that fool who after attaining the status of dasa wants to be the master? He says that is foolishness. And he knows because he is a dasa. He is a Ramadasa. So he knows the value of being a dasa. When Bhagavan Ram came to Ayodhya after killing Ravana and completing 14 years, then all the associates, Sugriva, Jamban, all these Nala, Nila, all the monkeys, they also came to see the kingdom. So they stayed there and they were all happy. Then after some time they have to leave back. So when they are leaving back, then Bhagavan Ram is meeting them and he gave the pada of being the ruler of Lanka to Vibhishan, made Sugriva. So he gave pada to everybody, means position. Pada also means feet and pada also means position. So he gave, everybody got something. And Hanuman is sitting there. So then he called Hanuman, he says, what about you? So he says, I have given pada to everybody. So he says, I want two. So he says, what? He says, I want these two padas. I don't want some pada somewhere. So that's why he's saying. So he is a servant. And that is the happiness. Being servant is considered as something very lowly and undesirable. But here, being servant is the biggest thing. Therefore, we want to be das dasanudas. Gopi bhartu padakamali or das dasanudas. That is Mahaprabhu saying. He himself wants to be dasa. Mahaprabhu's avatar is considered as the topmost audarya because he is in the mood of dasa. Bhagavan, who is the supreme ruler, Ishvara, regulator, he also likes to be dasa. Aham bhakta paradhino, yasvatantra iva dvijay. He says, I'm bhakta paradhino. I walk behind my devotees, puyate vangri ranubhi, anuvrajami. I walk so that I get dust from the feet of my devotees and my head. This is Bhagavan saying. Krishna is saying this. So this is the beauty of bhakti. This is what is Manjari Bhav is. People only talk about Manjari Bhav meditating somewhere. It's not a meditation, it is a bhav. You have to have this mood. And it is just amazing, that's all. Nothing less. Okay.
Second question, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
About this question, first Sandeep, so that you give the answer. So I look back into Anuchad 6 and your lecture on Bhagavad Sandarbha. So, one of the things we learned about the Atma is it's Swayam Prakash, right? Swasmai Swayam Prakash. That it can reveal itself to itself. It has that potency inside of itself. And so, in this Anuchad 6, Jiva Goswami analyzes Brahmaji's verse, Ananya Bodhyatmataya, Arupataha. And those three words are arranged in a sequence, so he takes the sequence. So first you get Shuddhatvam Padartha Anubhava, he says. And then after that, the question is, will you get Brahma realization or not? And so he says that your translation, even if one recognizes that the self is pure consciousness, and he talks about how the mind is still and reflects itself or manifests itself, whatever happens in the vritti, he says that this does not result in the ability to experience oneness with Brahman by one's own efforts. And one can, however, attain it by the power of the grace of God, who has been worshipped by devotion. So in the past you have said that the Atma can manifest but not Brahma. But now you're saying that even that is theoretical. So is the reason for that it is not possible to get rid of all the chitta vrittis without proper bhakti to Bhagavan? Because the Swasmai Swayam Prakash is the Atma's internal.
Yeah, but you see, when you are asking this question, you always forget that Jiva in itself is not independent. So all these questions come because we start thinking that it is independent. It is not disconnected from Paramatma or Brahman or Bhagavan. It is his Shakti. And the Shakti and Shaktiman are not separated. They are inseparable. So even when the Jiva is under the control of Maya, still it is within him only. It's not outside him. It is not independent of him. So even this experience, how it will happen, it cannot happen without his grace. So if you meditate, for example, Patanjali Yoga Sutra. So he says, what does he say? Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha. So you can do Chitta Vritti Nirodha. First of all, you have to practice, go on practicing. Chitta Vritti Nirodha will happen. Then what will happen? Once Chitta Vritti Nirodha is there. So you will come to Nirvikalpak Samadhi. That is the ultimate. What is Nirvikalpak Samadhi? That there is no awareness or distinction of the Gyata, Gaya and Gyan. Knower, knowable and knowledge. So now what will be your realization? This is what you can call as self-realization. So what would be it? You cannot describe it. And to go beyond that, as you are saying, that it cannot happen without his grace or bhakti. And you cannot remain stable at this point. So you can get a flash of it, just like you go to deep sleep, So the difference is that deep sleep is by the influence of tamas, and that is in sattva. This is also sattva guna only. It is not beyond the gunas. That's why you cannot stay there eternally.
Yeah, it gets confusing because the Atma is, like you said, it's not independent of Paramatma, yet it is seen to,
yeah, it is. So he allows that, just like we are breathing now, so we can say that I'm breathing, what Paramatma has to do in it. We can say like that. But when you understand the whole thing, then you know that you are not breathing just by your own power. Otherwise, when COVID was there, why people stopped breathing? Some of them. If I am free to breathe, then I should be able to do it. So then when death comes, then we realize that I am not independent. Before that, we can have that feeling that I am independent, I can raise my hand. But actually even this happens under his supervision. Paramatma Sandarbha, he also says that even all these material actions happen because of spiritual energy only. But because we think we are independent and we use it for ourselves, we call it material. It's like now if we start doing this in service of Krishna, we say this is spiritual. Because material, there cannot be action. Matter is inert. And Jiva cannot do anything by itself. It's atomic and it has nothing. There are no senses in it for to act. So because we see up to within certain limits, and then we try to understand, then it looks like that this is complete. But it is not.
Thank you, Babaji.
Param Karunaji.
Pranam Babaji. Following up on this question, my question, or if you can elaborate a little bit on happiness when there is, when somebody leaves, like in separation, one can have love for the departed. Both, I'm talking in terms of the understanding the gopis as well as in our personal lives. If we have lost someone very close, then our love is there for them permanently in our heart. But there is no happiness when we reminiscence or when we think of them. There is sadness, there is separation. So how do we connect this, our happiness, in that circumstance?
No, so this analysis will come later on, but to answer you in brief, that this love which you experience is not same which gopis experience. These are two separate type of energies. This love is coming from the gunas of Prakriti, and that love is Antaranga Shakti. So they look similar, but they are not same. And although you said that the love is there in the heart permanently, it is not permanently. Because in the past you have had so many relations with so many people in past lives, now you don't even remember them. Even if they come in front of you, you won't recognize them. And if they say, no, suppose somebody remembers their past life, who was your lover in your past life, you don't remember. He or she may feel love for you, but you will not feel. So it is not permanent. It is temporary. Because everything material is temporary. So this
Yeah,
is
but you were drawing this equivalence with.
When I said Priti, I meant spiritual love.
Sure. Yeah, you gave that example of washing the pots for your wife and she will feel happy.
Yeah,
that
this is
when they are together.
Yeah, that is just to show that here I said that even in the material world, if you have loving relationship that gives happiness, that is just what you call Kamutya Nyaya, a fortiori argument. Then what to speak when there is spiritual love?
Isn't this Priti that we are talking about here is spiritual love for Krishna?
Yes. In my first lecture, I elaborately explained on this, that there is a lot of confusion and you have to hear it again and again because the word is used same for material and spiritual. So we will have the tendency to mistake what is being described here with our own material experience. And we have to be very careful about it. Otherwise you will miss the boat. So what is being described here is a total different experience, different energy. The word is same.
Yeah. So even at a spiritual level, is there any component of our happiness in it, kind of going back to the previous devotee's question, when Anya Bilashta Shunyam, is it that, or is there any even spiritual experience of happiness in doing seva? Is that also a component of Priti? Or is it just our love for Krishna? That's it. Or if it's not important or it will get clear later, then I'm happy to wait.
Yeah, now what you are saying is a very confusing statement. So just wait, because you are saying is it Priti or is it this? You have to wait. He has not defined yet. And be patient with it. Hear, deliberate. Because you are saying we are doing seva and we are feeling happy, and then is it happiness and Priti? You are making some confusing statements.
Babaji.
Yeah. So just be a little patient. That's all I can say. It will keep coming in this subject. The whole book is 430 anuchedas, all about Priti only.
Thank you, Babaji. Yeah.
Tanvi.
Haribol, a few days ago you mentioned that there are two causes for suffering, and I was thinking of it and was not able to relate it to all, I mean not to all, of course I didn't analyze all instances, but to some instances in my life. So I wanted to ask you if you can explain that a little bit further, like this cause of that we either enjoyed something in the past or we are trying to enjoy something and that gives us happiness. How is that?
So happiness,
Yeah.
when you enjoy anything, it creates a samskara in the heart.
Yes.
Okay? And then that samskara will give you desire to,
Yes.
to have the experience again. So that's what is called raga.
Yeah. Okay.
And desire is a disturbance.
Yes.
Disturbance is suffering.
Yes.
So therefore you are suffering because you enjoyed.
And I'm already suffering because I want to enjoy again because I have the desire.
Yeah, and when you get it, then also when you get it, it's never like the way you want it.
Yes.
Right? So you want a boyfriend, but he's never according to your choice.
Right.
Because he's not a doll. He's a living
Right.
person. He has his mind, his desires, and his concept of having a girlfriend.
Right.
So you want it, and then when you have, then you have suffering, and then you say, no, I don't want it. But you also want it.
Right. Right.
So this is what I said.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You have a practical experience of it, and I have to explain it. You should know it better than me.
But I don't have the insights.
Okay, let's read. Krishna Saran Baba again. Go ahead.
I can wait, but I was just reflecting a bit on what was said. I was wondering if I could
No, say
see if I
it.
could boil down the discussion.
Yes, say it, say it. We have no hurry.
Sorry, I missed the last thing you said.
I'm saying we are not in a hurry.
Okay. I was wondering if, from what Jiva Goswami's analysis in his commentary on the phrase Anyavilachita Shunyam, his commentary on Anucheda 3 of the Bhakti Sandarbha, where he glosses Ahituki and Apratyata, based on these discussions, it appears to me, and I'm wondering if you could critique this, that Jiva Goswami isn't saying that the mind's tendency to have a desire for happiness is a dosh, or something to be negated, but rather that to allow or facilitate or foster that tendency of the mind to function independent of Bhagavan and independent of bhakti, that is the dosh and that is the cause of suffering.
Yes. Because you cannot, that's exactly what I said, that on the path of jnana you deny it. We have this proclivity for happiness. Everybody has it. So how much are you going to deny it? That's why I said that vairagya cannot be 100%. When you are going to eat, and if the food is to liking to your taste, you are going to like it. What will you do at that time? So then, okay, mix everything together. People do that, right? People do all kinds of things, But okay, in eating you can do that. But suppose you are going and some song is being played and you like it. So what are you going to do now? Can you mix it with something else? Or you see some nice scenery and it is pleasing to your eyes, because every sense has got its likes and dislikes. Indriyasya indriyasya arthe raga dvesha vyavastito. So how much, up to what extent are you going to deny? When you sleep, you like it. When you are tired, you go to sleep. So you may be the highest vairagi, but you will sleep and you will like it. So how will you deny that? So the vairagya cannot be 100%. So that's why Krishna says that sa sannyasi cha yogi cha naniragmi. Yam sannyasamiti prahu yogam tam vidhi pandava. So anashrita karma phalam karyam karma karoti. That is the vairagya. Anashrita karma phalam. That you are not after karma phala. And then you act. That is sannyas. So therefore, in bhakti, it is not denying, but nirbandha Krishna sambandhe. Our nirbandha, our ardor, our what you call agraha, stress, is that there should be a Krishna sambandha. Without Krishna sambandha, we don't want anything. Whether it is food or cloth or anything, it should be Krishna sambandha. That is yukta vairagya. That is bhakti.
So, last point I'll say, if I may, is just that there's some Bengali poetry sometimes speaking about this idea of Priti and Sukha, and sometimes you'll find Vidyapati and others, they'll have this idea like Tar Sukh, Amar Sukh, or Tare Sukhi Sukhi, that I shall be happy in your happiness, or your happiness is my happiness. When someone has that attitude, then their happiness becomes indistinct from Bhagavan's happiness, and therefore is near dosh.
Yes, that is what bhakti is. This is the central theme of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam from the very beginning. Vadanti tat tattvadas tattvam is jnanam advayam. There is only advaya jnana, that is the tattva. So we cannot have happiness independently, and if we are trying to have it, we are in trouble, that's all. So that's why his happiness is my happiness. That is called aprithak bhav. Everything else is a prithak bhav. And prithak bhav or bhinna drishti or bhinna bhav, that is a problem. So that's why Gyan Marg is also bhinna bhav. It's also prithak bhav. It is only in bhakti that it is aprithak bhav. Our bhav also means existence, is aprithak. That is advaya. So this is the real advaya. Not this other type that world is mithya. So unnecessarily trying to logically prove that this world does not exist.
Thank you both.
Tanvaji.
I just wanted to recall something that you have said before several times. This is in Bhagavad Sandarbha, Anuchit 56, and also in your commentary where you gave an argument for why one should love Krishna, Priti. It's an argument for Priti. And you cite this verse from the prayer, from Yajnavalkya to my prayee, that why do we love others? It's for the sake of our own self. And then the thing is that Krishna is the self of the self. He is our very self. And therefore Priti for him is the highest goal. Just wanted to...
Yeah, this will come here. Jiva Goswami will bring this right in this. He will bring this because we are same point. We are not independent. There is only one tattva. This has to be understood very clearly. And that is beauty, that is greatness, that is pleasure, that is enjoyment. Being separate, there is no fun in that. And now this technology is only to separate you. More technological advancement, more separation. More and more. and therefore more and more loneliness and more suffering. Loneliness is going to become the biggest mental problem. Even World Health Organization has declared this. Already it is a big problem and it's going to become more and more. And which simply means suffering. Because we are not independent. And now the situation comes that people then they don't know how to live together, but they want to be together. So they're like what they call that do it, you're damned, don't do it, you're damned. So this is the situation. Okay, let's read a little bit. So, एष एव च मुक्ति शब्दार्थ samsara bandha cheda purvakatvat. So this is what he said, this sakshatkar. This is mukti. And this indeed, this immediate intuition of supreme reality, partattva sakshatkar, is the meaning of the word mukti. So you see, he has defined that sukha means priti. And priti is same as bhagavad sakshatkar. And this is also mukti. Mukti is not something different, although there are 5 types of mukti. But this is what is said is the real mukti. Because this realization is preceded by the cessation of material bondage, as Sri Sutta said. Yadeva metena viveka hetina mayamayaham karanam atma bandhanam chitva chutatma anubhavo vitishthate tamahuratyantikam anga samplavam. So this Sutta Goswami, where he is describing these 4 types of dissolutions, Nitya, Namittika and Atyantika. So he says, when in this manner the knot of empirical ego, Maya Maya Hankarana, that binds the self is cut with the sword of discernment, and one becomes firmly established in immediate cognition of the infallible Paramatma, that state, or dear king, is called ultimate dissolution. So this is what is mukti, atyantik samplavam or mukti. But what is it? That chitva achyuta atma anubhavo avutishthate, that he is firmly established in immediate cognition of the infallible Paramatma. So it is non-different from that. This is Bhagavatam's definition, although earlier definition is also given, muktir hitva nitharupam swarupena vyavasthiti. But it's all the same. So achyutakhe atmani paramatmani anubhavo yasya tatha bhuta sanavtishthate yat tamatyantikam samplavam mukti mahurityartha. The state of a person who is thus permanently established in immediate cognition of the self, meaning the supreme immanent self. You see here how he is translating Atma Anubhav as Paramatma Anubhav. Otherwise you will think, oh, you can have Atma Anubhav. So who is known by the name Achyuta, the infallible one, is called ultimate dissolution, or in other words, Mukti. अथ मुक्ति हित्वा अन्यथा रूपम स्वरूपेण व्यवस्थिति इति एतदपि तत्तुल्यार्थमेव यतः स्वरूपेण व्यवस्थितिर्नाम स्वरूप साक्षात्कार उच्यते तद अवस्था मात्रस्य संसार दशायामपि स्थितत्वात् अन्यथा रूपत्वस्य च तद्ज्ञान मात्र अर्थत्वेन तद् हानु तज्ज्ञाप ज्ञान पर्यवसानात्. So in this regard we may now consider the following assertion. Liberation means to be established in the self's true essential nature after abandoning identification with all that is not. It is not. This statement is identical in meaning to the one just cited, because establishment in the self's essential nature is defined as the immediate intuition of the same. So if you read this statement, mukti hitva anatha rupam swarupena vyavasthi, one thinks like that this is what it means, self-realization. But he said that self-realization is not without Paramatma realization, because he says the meaning of this statement is same as cited above, where he says Atmani Anubhava Achyuta. That Anubhava of Atma, which is Achyuta. Because our real Atma has many meanings. Atatvat, Matritvat, Atmohi, Paramohari. So Atma means that Atatvat, which is all pervading, and Matritvat, which is the source of everything, that is Atma. So that is Paramatma. So Atma is also Paramatma. In Nyaya, very clearly they say that Atma is of two types. One is Ishvara, other is Jiva. So both are Atma. So Atma Anubhav is Anubhav of him. And then only we have our true understanding. Because we are not separate, we are not independent. There is nothing we can do independently. We do not have independent existence, although it appears like that. So we have to give up that Anyatha Rupam. So Anyatha Rupam means this identification with gross and subtle bodies. So this is given up, and this cannot be given up without bhakti. So that is called mukti. So this specification is necessary because bare establishment in one's swarupa, bereft of its realization, is the status of existence even in the state of material bondage. So what is the meaning of being situated in your own swarupa? We are always situated in our own swarupa only. Where else can we be situated? It's like it is said that Sakutra Sthita Sway Mahimni. Where is God situated? He is situated in His own glory. Where else is He going to be? So where else can we be situated if not in our own swarupa? We are always. Then why is it said that mukti means becoming situated in your own swarupa? So the meaning is that by our awareness we are not situated in our own self. Situating is, one is physically where you are, another is by your awareness, by your consciousness. Where are you situated? So you are sitting here, but your mind goes to your room and you start thinking, then you are not here. You don't hear what I am saying. So in the same way, although we are situated in Paramatma and we are in our own self, but now we are identifying with this physical body and the mind. Therefore, we are not situated in our own self. So this has to be given up, and this cannot be given up without taking shelter of Krishna. Mameva prapadyante mayamita. This is made of Maya, and we cannot get out of her clutches without taking shelter of Krishna. So then once we take shelter of Him, then we will be situated truly in our own swarupa. Because then we will realize that Das Bhuto Hare Reve, that we are actually His Das, then we will do service. Otherwise we are Maya Das now. We are only trying to serve Maya and think we will be happy. So that's not possible. So it is He who is Sachidanand Vigraha. Maya is not Sachidanand Vigraha. Maya is Trigunmayi. Devi is a Gunmayi. So you serve Devi Maya, which is Gunmayi, you are only going to get gunas. That's all. So therefore he says this specification is necessary because bare establishment in one's swarupa is the status of existence even in the state of material bondage. Additionally, because identification with all that the self is not is nothing other than ignorance of its own swarupa. So we are not really situated in body, but we are ignorant of our own swarupa. So these two things go together. We are ignorant of our own swarupa, And ignorant of our own Swarupa does not mean that I am not the body, but I am Atma and I am part of Paramatma. That is knowing the Swarupa. And this ignorance has no beginning. This is an Adi Sansarga Bhava. So, the abandonment of that ignorance is synonymous with the realization of its Swarupa. And then now he makes it more clear, absolutely clear, so that one doesn't have any doubt. He says, Swarupam chatra mukhyam paramatma lakshanam eva. Moreover, the word Swarupa primarily denotes Paramatma. So therefore, Swarupena Vyavasthiti means becoming situated in Paramatma, which means becoming aware of Paramatma and our relationship. Because He alone is the supreme whole, Paramamsi, Rashmi Parmanunam Surya Iva Saiva Hi Jivanam Paramamsi Swarupa. So, He alone is the supreme whole of whom the living entities are but parts, like the sun in relation to its particles of light. Yathoktam Brahmanam Prati Srimata Garbhodashayana. This was stated by Garbhodakshayi Vishnu to Brahma. Yadarahitam Atmanam Bhutendriya Gunashayaihi Swarupena Mayopetam Pashyan Swarajyam Ichyati. When one directly perceives the self as devoid of the five gross elements, the senses, the gunas, and the inner receptacle of thoughts and feelings, and as accompanied by me, its own essential ground of being, one attains self-resplendence or autonomy of the self. So this is mukti. So upetam yuktam ityeva aklishta artha. The word upetam, qualifying the individual self, means accompanied by me, which alone is not a forced interpretation. So why is saying it here? Because Sridhar Swami gives Advaitic explanation. So he doesn't mention that, but he says this is only the aklishta. This is more natural sense of this word. Jiv Swarupasyeva Gaunanandatvam Darshitam Tasmat Priyatamah Swatma Ityuktva Krishna Menam Avehitvam Atmanam Akhilatmanam Jagadhita Sopiatru Dehi Vabhati Maya Etyanena. The word upetam, qualifying the individual self, means accompanied yuktam by me, which alone is not a forced interpretation. The Swarupa of the Jiva has been shown by Sri Shuka to be secondary in its endowment with bliss. In the following passage, after saying, therefore, for all embodied beings, it is one's own self that is supremely dear, he concludes with this statement, you should know this Krishna to be the self of all selves. For the benefit of cosmos, he too appears in this world as if embodied being by the influence of his Maya. So this is a very important teaching in the 14th chapter of 10th canto. After the prayers of Brahma, Parikshit Maharaj had asked a question to Sukdev Goswami, because in that Brahma Mohan Leela it was described that when Krishna manifested himself as cowherd boys and the calves which were stolen by Brahma, so in the Vraja nobody knew that they have been stolen because Krishna expanded himself. So now the Vrajvasis, they had more love for these children than before. They did not know why. So later on, when Balram happened to see it, then he understood what has happened. Because these were Krishna. So the teaching here is that although they had their own children, and then those children were stolen, and Krishna became the children, now they have more love for Krishna. So the question was raised by Parikshit Maharaj that Brahman parod bhave Krishna yan prema katham bhavet Yo bhutpurvas tokeshu sodbhaveshvapi kathyatam. He says, O Venerable One, please explain to me how is that these Vrajavasis, they had so much love in Krishna, who was not born from them. And they did not have this kind of love in their own children who were born from them. He says, how is it possible? Because one has more love to one's own children, not somebody else's child. Even if you adopt someone, it's not same. So then Sukdev Goswami goes saying that Sarvesham api bhutanam nirpasva atma eva vallabha itre apatya vittadya tad vallabhata evahi. That everybody, again this word atma is used, that for everyone the supreme object of love is their own atma. So atma here in the conditioned state means our physical body. So nobody will deny this, that how much we love our body. And this is natural. So why we love the body, our own body? Because we identify with it. We consider this to be our self. So the love is actually to the self. Wherever we put ourself, that's what we love. When we love someone else, if they are our children, husband, wife, why we love them? Because we have put ourselves into them. And then love is only because of that. If we take out ourselves from them, then we don't love them. When you fight with somebody, you separate, divorce, then there is no more love. Or you break up. Right? This is a new word in the dictionary. So then, same person whom you loved so much, now there is no more love. Why? Because the Atma is not there. So this is called Atmiyata or Mamatva. So basically we are relishing only our own self in this material world. But now you try to understand how much more love will be there when you will understand your true self, and you will understand that your true self is part of Paramatma, who is the Supreme Self, and you have a relationship with that. That you can conceive. Any type of happiness which we have derived here in the material world is only by considering something ourself which is not at all ourself. And if that has given us some happiness, how much happiness will come when you will actually relate with the person who is yourself. So that's why he says that Krishna menam avehitvam atma namakhilatmanam. Because Krishna is not our Atma, but he is the Atma of our Atma. So we love this body also because of our Atma. Otherwise, when the Atma leaves the body, nobody loves the body. The love is not for the body. If love was for the body, then we will protect the body, we will preserve the body. But once Atma leaves, then body dispose it off quickly. If you have to be with the dead body alone in a room, you will be scared, the same person. And if you have to sleep at night in the dead body. So you see, dead body is so terrifying. And this actually cannot do anything. Why are people scared of dead body? Dead body cannot move. But imagine if there are 4 or 5 dead bodies in a room and you have to sleep in that room at night. You'll be only dreaming of ghosts. Or maybe not fall asleep at all. So why these dead bodies have become so terrifying? Because the Atma, the object of love, is gone. So same with our own body. So that's why it says, Sarvesham api bhutanam nirpa sava atma eva vallabha. So body looks dear as long as Atma is there. Atma gone, no more love with that. And now Krishna is Atma of Atma. So beyond body is then our actual Atma, and then beyond that is Krishna. So in this sloka, the word Atma can have three different meanings. It can refer to body, it can refer to self. So when it is at the level of the body, everything is dear only because of this body. We love people who are related to body, we love the objects which are related to this body. Those things, objects, people which are not related to our body, we have no love to them. So therefore he says, Tad vallabhataya evahi. Because we love this body, therefore we love anything which is related to the body. And then at the level of Atma, because of Atma you love. So if some part of the body becomes poisoned, you can go to the doctor and say, cut it off, protect me. So what does it mean? Sometimes people get their leg cut off, like diabetic persons can have gangrene and becomes poisonous. So they say, please cut it. So the body which was so dear, now because in that particular part of the body, your Atma is no more there. He said, protect me. That means this is not you anymore. So from wherever you extract your Atma, that becomes useless to you. So then he said, remove it. Save me. So that means it is actually the Atma inside, which is the object of love. Even this body is not object of love. If the body was object of love, no matter whether you have gangrene or tangerine, you would not allow that, cut it, right? So that means there is something beyond body which I really love. And then beyond that is Krishna, about which we do not have experience. So therefore he says that you should know that Krishna to be the self of all selves. And for the benefit of the cosmos, he too appears in this world as if an embodied being. Dehiva bhati maya. So let's complete this. He says, Jiva pariyor abhedvadastu parmatma sandarbhado vishesto api parihrito asti. The philosophy of absolute or radical non-distinction, abhedvad, between the Jiva and Paramatma has been specifically refuted in Paramatma Sandarbha and elsewhere. So he doesn't want to go into that now, it is already done. Ateva niradharya shruti raso vaisa rasam hiye vayam labdhva anandi bhavati. Therefore the conclusive statement of the Shruti regarding the secondary nature of the Jiva's bliss and the distinction that holds between the Jiva and Paramatma is as follows. He, Parabrahman, is indeed rasa, the existential ground of bliss, and only on attaining this rasa does the Jiva become blissful. So this is a conclusive statement of Tatriya Shruti after the deliberation of the Ananda, that Manusananda and then Manus Gandharvananda and so on. And then Yato Vacho Nivartante Aprapya Manasasaya, up to that. And then he says that only rasam hiye vayam labdhva anandi bhavati. So this is very clear statement that you become happy only after attaining him who is rasa, who is Ananda, not otherwise. So this shows that we don't have Ananda in ourselves, because he says that the Ananda of Jiva is Gauna, secondary. Because if we had Ananda in ourselves, then we don't need someone else to give me Ananda. But he says, Rasam hi eva labdha anandi bhavati. And this rasa is, what is Bhakti rasa, Priti rasa. So only by that, rasa means Priti. So he is prema. So only by attaining him, we become truly blissful. Otherwise not. So I'll stop here. Any more question? Aditya.
Babaji, when we began reading this Anucheda, you had mentioned that there are two meanings, or many meanings of Atma, and you had mentioned Atatva, all-pervading, and what was the second meaning that you had said?
Matritvat.
Atattva.
Yeah,
What does that
Atma
mean?
means the source.
Thank you.
Okay.